Hey dudes, how's it going? It's Erica with NotYourAverageEDC. We have something fun to talk about today. I got something in the mail from a friend for testing. Do you want to guess what it is? I'll give you a little sneak peek. If you guessed a native 5 in LC200N steel, you were right! Yay! Okay, so my friend Steve up in Maine saw my post on Instagram that I was looking for one of these for testing. I wanted to buy one off of somebody because I've really been wanting to test this steel, and this is like not available anywhere. You cannot find these right now on the market. You can find like those green delicas in this steel, but I didn't want one of the Japanese knives. I haven't had a good experience with those, so I wanted something made in the US that had this steel. And my friend Steve up in Maine was like, hey, I have a brand new one, like brand new in box. I'll ship it to you for $100. I was like, dude, you're the fucking man. Thank you. Literally, he packed it up within 5 minutes. It was here within 2 days, and here we are. So, I have had natives before, but not the lightweight ones. Not the biggest fan of lockbacks, as you guys know, but this one is the smoothest I've ever had. Like, that is very smooth. Really impressed with that. So, that's good. And yeah, I'm going to test this steel because I never have, and also I've never tested the native before. I, right off the bat, love this. The thing that I don't really like is just like how kind of like rectanglish it is and squared off. But overall, immediately, first impressions, I am very excited to use and test this. So that will be coming up on the channel at some point, and I just wanted to show you guys that. I do have a deep carry clip coming in for it from Lynch. I got the industrial heat one, so that's going to look like so freaking sick with the silver blade and then like the silver and purplish heated clip. That's going to be awesome. But today's video is not about the Native 5. It is about EDC, what that means for me, and what I do with my knives, because I'm always talking about like how I kind of hard use my knives and how I use them literally all day, but I've never actually walked you through a day in the life of my knife. So I figured that might be fun to do just so you guys understand how much use these are going through and why they look, you know, so beat up from my reviews, you know, because at the end they just look like they've been to Nam and back, and yeah. I'm going to explain why they look like this. So, basically my day starts at, 4:30 in the morning. And right away, I let the dogs out, get dressed, all that good stuff. And then I have to feed them because they will start eating me if I don't feed them a different type of meat. So, in order to save my own life, I start prepping their dog food. And right now they're getting a mix of like professional kibble with raw food. I used to just do straight raw, but it's crazy cold out. Like today it's 18 degrees. So in the winter they definitely get some kibble and raw food. Now, I use my EDC knives to prepare the raw food and to cut open the packages and cut open the meat and, prepare it and stuff, because my mindset is no one else in the house is going to sharpen the kitchen knives aside from me and maybe Nicole. So if I can like prolong the life of the kitchen knives for my roommates and use my own knives, I would rather do that. It also really helps with testing. So like if I can really get a lot of food prep in with these knives, I can definitely say at the end of, 30 days that they did well. So their first task in the morning is cutting open some vacuum sealed packages of different meats and some tubes of meat, cutting it all up into chunks if it's in, a big steak or something like that. And the dogs get that. Not too much cutting for the rest of the morning until I go to work. So I leave for work at like 6:30. And right off the bat for my entire 8-hour shift, the entire shift is cutting shit. All different types of shit. So at the farm stand, we put out a whole bunch of produce every day for the customers to buy, but before you put it out you have to prepare it, so you kind of have to trim it up, make it look nice, cut the bottoms off of a lot of the produce so that they suck up water in the bins throughout the days and stay like alive. So for the first hour and a half, I would say, I am using my knife to trim the tops off of leeks and scallions and the bottoms off of lettuces and celery, and trimming the tops off of carrots and parsnips and turnips and beets and radishes. The list goes on and on and on, and I really prefer doing that with a blade shape like this. Kind of thin, a little bit slicey. This is a fabulous blade shape for all of those trimming tasks. Now, that also includes opening bags of produce and boxes of produce. I really can't emphasize enough like how much we use our knives. Tons and tons and tons and tons of package opening and produce work and trimming plants. So that's where this really comes into play and works very well. Then throughout the day, it's just a series of keeping up with all of the farm needs and continuously throughout the day opening up packages and boxes and bags of produce. But because we're doing some like cleanup around the farm, even though it's wintertime, there are occasions where a knife like this, my secondary knife, really is handy. Something a little thicker, a little more sturdy, a little more hard use. So we have containers of oil that we have to puncture before we dump them into the tubs because they won't flow well if they don't have like an airflow puncture. So I don't really feel comfortable doing that with the bug out. This, however, absolutely comfortable punching a metal tin. This is a fabulous blade shape, and it's definitely rugged enough to do that kind of stuff. So, refilling the oil containers, this is great for that. Sorry, I'm always watching the dogs while I'm out here. Also, just any of those like oddball tasks that we encounter. I explained the other night about the making a slot for the sign in the shelf and having to use the 940 to cut that out, and the breaking down of other shelves and everything. The 940 is great for those kind of like rugged, oddball tasks. Somebody said the other day that my dogs look like coyotes. We're going to go off topic for 2 seconds. They do, because that one is actually a wild dog. So he is half husky, a quarter dingo, and a quarter American Staffordshire Terrier. So he's like literally wild, which is really cool. And I also have another little feral thing right there, Zaya. She's like legitimately wild and feral. So that's fun. And they do look like coyotes because they kind of sort of are. So, yeah, throughout the day, lots of different EDC tasks, lots of cutting and poking and prying and stabbing and all types of fun stuff. And especially on delivery days like today, holy smokes. I mean, I'm cutting for hours, because what happens is we get tons of boxes of stuff, and it's easier to access everything in them throughout the week if you cut all the sides off of the box. Not the sides, I should say. The flaps that open up. So the 4 flaps that open up to get into the box, I actually cut them all off to leave the box open so it'll still hold everything, but super easy to access. So tons of cardboard cutting, especially on delivery days. Both of these knives do very, very well with that. However, the geometry of the bug out really just slices through all of that cardboard really well. So I'm processing 100 freaking boxes. I mean, it's insane how many we work through. So lots of cardboard. That can be pretty abrasive on an edge, especially when you're cutting for that long. And then when I get home, things start to die down. Again, the dog food thing at night for dinner. But aside from that, not a ton of cutting. It's really throughout the day at work for the most part. Now, the reason I like to carry 2 blades lately, which is something I used to be like, why the fuck would you? Now I get it. I like to have 1 knife at my workstation and 1 knife in my pocket for wherever I'm going, because what happens is you kind of have like a workstation that you're at where you're opening things up and preparing them to go out on the floor, but then it's so busy there and so chaotic, you might get pulled into something else, or maybe you'll go into the cooler to grab something and realize there's work that needs to be done in the cooler, like now. So then you get sucked into that. Oh, the dogs are hunting something. You get sucked into that. You go to use your knife in there, but you left your other one out at the workstation, so it's good to have another one in your pocket. I have used up to like 4 blades in one day at work once because I had like one in my pocket, one at my workstation, and then my coworkers don't really carry knives other than Nicole, so like you lend one of them one because we're not given anything at the job. You're literally like left for dead there. You don't get any supplies. We have nothing that we need. We don't even have a sign for the farm because it blew down from the wind and then it was just like left like that, and it's just a couple of posts in the ground. Like, I mean, we are left for dead there. I've never even met my boss, and I've been there for 6 months. So we can't ask for tools. We can't ask for anything. We can't ask for box cutters or anything like that. So it's like, if you got tools on you, you're probably using them. So yeah, sometimes my coworkers use my knives, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's why I carry a couple of knives. That's why I like to have different blade shapes, because they're useful for different tasks. And like I said, I used to be one of those people that was like, why in the flippity fudge would you need more than one knife? Like, if it has good steel and it holds a good edge, why on earth would you need more than one knife? I get it, and if I was talking to you before, I am sorry, and I'm eating my own words, because I get it. I really do now. So yeah, that's kind of like a quick rundown of what goes on in my day at work and how I use my blades. And then obviously once summertime comes, we have the homestead up and running, I'm going to be using my knife from dawn to dusk. Like the moment I get home, I'm going to be working in the garden, working on the homestead. Oh, and yeah, also when it's warmer out and we have more produce to feed the goats, I process that outside with my pocket knives on a table. And yeah, that's like some home use. But yeah, it's like, I think 18 degrees out. It's really freaking cold. The dogs are starting to shake, so I'm going to go in a few minutes. But I just wanted to say that I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Thanks again, Steve, for giving me a smoking deal on this bad boy. Can't wait to test it. It's going to be a blast. Oh, the Native 5 just said something to me. It said, go use your fucking shit. How sweet. I love you already. Bye, guys. And I love you guys, too.